Well, it appears that the team is in place. Still need some pitchers, but it looks like the position players are fairly well set. We had a meeting with Chris Young today. Let's talk about that and the team next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Yeah, part of getting that position player situation settled had to do with the settling these arbitration cases, which the Rangers did again, and basically did it for about the money that the players were expected to get. We'll talk more about that, and we'll talk lots more about what Chris Young had to say with the media earlier today. Here in just a couple of minutes, it's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Jeff Wilson back in studio, feeling well, looking good.
Well, that's the most important thing.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And Kat's over here. I'm so afraid we're going to lose her like tomorrow or the next day because she's going to become an influencer. She's doing our behind-the-scenes video for the Supporters Club, Jeff. And it's like this point-of-view camera of what she does every day to try and wrangle us in.
Well, it's hard work, with my foul mouth and
right.
That's basically it.
My insane brain.
That's the only problem.
I'm just all over the place. Squirrel,
Well, and making sure we hit our times on our ads. It's a tough one. That's a tough one.
There's a lot to it. You'll see that on our Supporters Club, our next Supporters Club video. We're only a small part of it. Kat is the star. And like I say, she'll become an influencer before you know it. She'll be making $1 million a week. So, and we'll hope that happens. Maybe we can ride her coattails in that case, right? Yeah, I think she'll need us. So there was this meeting with CY today, ostensibly, and it was a call.
Yeah.
Ostensibly, I think, to kind of say, we got our arbitration done. But, of course, lots of other topics, questions, and not many answers, but lots of questions, right?
Yeah, it was an update. We hadn't talked to them in forever. And I had put out my some feelers for time this week, and I didn't aggressively pursue it after falling ill, but it was just time for an update. So all the beats were on there. We had some from the broadcast team on there as well, and just kind of getting an update on things. And basically, the arbitration that went very well. They were drama free.
Yeah.
And there was even a reference to Lee Stevens, as there always seems to be. So they feel good about that. And the four guys who agreed yesterday are basically their infield. 3 of their 4 infield spots, because you're talking Josh Young, Jake Berger, Josh Smith, and then somewhere Ezekiel Duran may fit into this. They're really happy with what Zeke has done this year for Aguilas in the Dominican Winter League. So who knows? We got to see how it plays out. But the first question was basically, what do you think of your offseason? They're pretty happy with it. What are you going to do? What's left? And they're like, well, we're staying opportunistic, which I don't take that as like a definite, we're absolutely signing somebody immediately. I think they're still putting out feelers. They're watching the market. I asked with Malley and Lorenzen and kind of that 8 to 10 million range, is that where you guys are comfortable? And Chris Young said, we're looking at all possible scenarios. So, I don't think that necessarily means that they're going to be in on Zach Allen, but or Ranger Suarez. But I think history has taught us that as these guys, the longer they stay unsigned and the deeper it gets into spring training, if they're not signed by then, their price comes down.
Sure.
Now, it may just be a 1-year deal, maybe a deal loaded with opt-outs. You may just have the guy for 1 year, but I think that's still kind of the opportunistic angle. I like the White Sox were opportunistic on Murakami.
Yeah. I couldn't think of it the other day.
Whatever his
and it
name
came
is.
to me when Ben was here. I was like, oh, the guy the White Sox signed. I couldn't think of it. It's Murakami. And
go.
they were very opportunistic.
Sure,
They got him for 2 years.
And I think the Astros were opportunistic. In my whatever,
however we say it, yeah,
right.
And one of the things we actually were talking about that day was all these 1-year deals. I mean, and even the long-term or multi-year deals all have opt-outs now,
right,
including the MI deal,
right.
Right.
He may be in Houston for 1 year.
Yeah, might be.
Yeah,
which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I guess that has to be right. Agents can't want that. Players can't want that. Of course, you want security.
They want the opt-out so that they can take another whack at it.
I suppose.
Another whack at free agency.
But they'd rather have 10 years, $200 million or whatever.
Of course. Yeah. So we're going to see how that plays out. But they do want to continue to build depth on the pitching staff, so pitching is the priority. It does sound like a right-handed hitter would be a luxury at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they are encouraged by what Duran is doing. And I think a guy who gets lost in all of this is Justin Foscue and his lack of development into a major league hitter. These guys all blossom at their own time. He's still on the 40, will still be in spring training. So, when you look at the internal right-handed hitting options, you still have Cody Freeman, you still have Hellman. Again, not power hitters, but guys who, can get it done, I guess, or they like as young players who are going to blossom. So not a lot of encouragement there, but, they do feel good. They said they feel good about the offense, and a lot of that has to be the addition by subtraction. A lot of it is just kind of qualitative, what they're seeing from the guys as they work out, what they're hearing from them. They're motivated, really motivated to be better. They have an edge, that type of stuff. And these guys do have the track record too,
right?
So when you don't have the money to spend and you're not going to go get the best hitter out there, I guess this is the way you have to feel.
Yeah. And there becomes, right, based on what happened with Jonah Heim and Adolis Garcia in particular, right? There becomes a thought in your head like, I have to deliver this year, because this front office has proven that if I don't, I may not have the opportunity to deliver here next year. And so that's upheaval. And that's uncertainty, right? It's almost like and again, none of these young guys, all the young guys we just mentioned, the 4 of them who all probably fall into this category a little bit, they are all in their first year of arbitration. So it's not really a contract year.
Right.
But I wonder if maybe we will get contract year type approaches from them. Like, dang, we better put up or shut up. These guys have proven they will move on.
Yeah, and and I'm sure they hear things, besides that, and this guy's down on me, or this guy's
sure,
and if it's the right guy, that should be motivation enough. And I think that they don't like the term, Chris Young especially, sending a message. Sending a message to these guys. You're sending a message. When you're willing to part with 3 guys who were instrumental in the biggest moment of the franchise's history, you 100% are sending a message. Like, butt cheeks are getting tighter in the with certain people.
Yeah.
So that's important, and so hopefully it does motivate guys. Josh Young wants to be great. There's no question about it.
No doubt.
He wants it so badly, and he came in with the ballyhooed first round pick and all of that, and Scott Boras is his agent, and He came out in 23 after shedding some of the injury bug. Boom, he's an all-star, looks great, and it hasn't gone forward for him. And yeah, at some point in arbitration, it's going to be a lack of value. And if the production's not there, then the value's not going to be there, and he could be a non-tender, as soon as this next off season, if this year isn't good. Sebastian Walcott can play third base.
Right.
And everybody talks about, is Walcott going to move Seager off of shortstop? Walcott could push Young out of the organization.
Sure.
Theoretically. So I would think that he's motivated. I think Jake Berger, I worry less about Jake Berger. I think the manager is going to help him. I think a second year is going to help him. I think his daughter's health is going to help. So I think all those things will factor in. It's kind of like they're being given a second chance here.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. And I agree that the Skip Schumacher influence will be huge for Jake Berger. And I hope it is. I mean, he is the kind of guy. I mean, they're all guys we want to succeed. We really do. But he's the kind of guy that just you really root for. He's just such a good guy, and he went through a lot last year. So, I'll definitely be rooting for that guy. So, did the name Kumar Rocker come up at all?
I brought it up.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Because they were talking about we're going to be opportunistic, but if not, we like our internal options and all of this stuff. And it's like, well, I guess Kumar Rocker's an internal option. So, what are your feelings on Kumar Rocker? And they're encouraged. They've been checking in with him regularly. He's been sending videos to them of his workouts. And they acknowledged that Kumar last offseason didn't do the right stuff. And so, that's part of being a young player. You got to learn these things. And part of last season was him getting game experience. And it was especially evident after the Tampa Bay debacle. And when he was sent down to get more game experience, mates won't start, and then Eovaldi gets hurt and they need him back.
Yep. So
did he get enough game experience? He didn't pitch from like August 8th until September 20th, ballpark.
Wow.
What experience did he get there? And they feel like he did get some game experience. So I still think it's wrong to put him on the opening day roster, but also it sounds like, they love the talent. He's definitely one of their more talented pitchers. There's no question about that. Will that be what wins out? And it might be.
So after our show with Dave Raymond yesterday, we all sat down. Jeff stayed there where he was, and Dave and I stayed here. But we did one more segment that you're gonna see this weekend, where we talked a lot about the closer, something we hadn't really discussed during the program with Dave. And so watch for that on social media this week. But you mentioned to me that Dave was so curious to resolve the conversation we were having about closer. He asked about it today.
Yeah, he did. He came in and asked, how do you feel about the internal guys? Is there a plan to get a guy? And, and Chris Young said, well, the truth is every team would love to have a guy who is going to come in the ninth inning. But the fact of the matter is most teams don't have it, and the ones who think they have it on opening day realize pretty quick order they don't have it at all. So basically that's his way of saying we're probably not going to have that guy. That was my takeaway. Mentioned, Robert Garcia, mentioned Chris Martin. And then
he did. CY did.
CY did. Okay. And then Alexis Diaz came up, and I followed up Dave's question with what is it that made you want to sign this guy after his? I didn't say this, but it was implied. He had a terrible season.
Yeah.
And they Ross said, well, it's a very unique fastball, and he's not far removed from being very, very good, and Diaz has acknowledged he didn't have a great season, and he's worked really hard to get back to where he thinks he can be effective. Again, they're encouraged by what they've seen this offseason, and they really feel like this is a guy that could take the job. He could be Kirby Yates.
So his upside is huge.
The upside is enormous. And and there weren't a lot of guys out there that had that potential at the range the Rangers were paying him. And I think they're only paying him around $1 million with some bonuses possible.
Right.
He still, I believe he would go into the arbitration process after this season. So, I mean, they're looking at a real potential bonanza here.
Right.
But the player has to deliver.
Sure.
And it's a low risk, high reward type situation. If he doesn't pan out, you're not out that much money if you decide you can't live with him anymore. So I think in their minds, they're very hopeful that Diaz becomes the guy.
Sure. And if you think about last year, we knew that they were only going to pay Patrick Corbin $1 million. And at the time, we were saying, hey, it's only $1 million if he's gone after a month, whatever, right? It's not that big of an investment. With a young guy like this, you don't want to look at it that way. And Corbin more than earned his $1 million, but that's how these teams look at it. It's what it's a classic case of taking a flyer on a guy, and so here they go, trying to make this closer take flight again. We got a lot more coming up as we get to specifics about the arbitration process with our guys, but also talk about some of the huge gaps, or at least one of the huge gaps in arbitration request from the team and from the player. It's big. It's coming next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. Well, it's going to be a Wild Fork weekend at the Radigans. My son's coming into town. Not that he lives too far away. He's in Fort Worth, coming to me, and he's bringing a gal, and we're going to have those steaks, those little fillets that are bacon wrapped. Mm-hmm. Have you seen those at the Wild Fork?
Oh, yeah, my in-laws bought them.
Did they?
And highly recommend them.
They're fantastic. Yeah. I had one, and then I bought a bunch more because my son's going to love them. I don't know how many he'll eat. He's a big, tall guy, 6'8", and a lot of weight. So anyway, he'll love them. I'll love them. We'll have those burgers. I got the frozen burgers I haven't tried yet, but they've got tri-tip and then ground beef and brisket in them. And it's all kind of merged together. You take a frozen patty, you put it on the grill, you cook it up, and it's delicious. Wild Fork Foods has 750 different cuts of meat, and they've got all kinds of seafood, too. There are 9 locations in Dallas, Fort Worth, or you can get them to deliver that Wild Fork food to you. Get the Wild Fork app today.
John, every day at about 3 p.m., I am ready for a nap. I'm dead tired. It's an important part of our day. Got to go pick up the kids. I've actually slept past fallen asleep and missed pickup or had my wife scramble in to say, go get the kids.
Yeah.
Well, it's a new year, and I need to figure this out, and I think Marsmen might be my solution. Here you see it's a nice, simple canister. There are new sponsors, and you can see there on the screen, 50% off for life, free shipping, and free gifts. Go to Mars.com. It's where all your information is. Basically, you don't have to necessarily have a problem making testosterone. A lot of the problem is there's a hormone in your body that helps, like it handcuffs your testosterone. You can't access it when you need it. Marsmen helps freeze it up. It's a good product. It's one that I'm probably going to be getting very, very soon. There's a 90-day money-back guarantee. And again, men go to Mars.com. Perfect way to kick off the new year.
Yeah, we love having these new sponsors on board because we get to try a lot of this stuff, and it so far so good with all the things that we've tried. You hear me talk about several of them that we like each and every day. So let's talk a little bit about the arbitration process. We went through and we looked at the numbers that were predicted for these guys versus the numbers that they got. And the Rangers basically, I mean, the Rangers didn't get, beat up on any side of it. And really none of the guys did either. It was almost exactly. And in fact, Josh Young was right on the number at $2.9 million.
Yeah, I don't know the formula that Trade Rumors uses, but they're actually pretty close, pretty darn good. So the Rangers had saved money on Haggerty. He signed for $1.25 in November. He was projected at $1.4, so that's $150,000. Josh Smith actually got a little more. He got $3.225 million as opposed to the $3 million projected here. But Jake Berger got significantly less. He got I believe $500,000 less from 3.5 to 3. he might have gotten a little over 3. I got to find that note again. But Duran got less and Young hit right on the money. So I think as I did my math, it added up to like $250,000 savings. Okay. So not a ton, but you never know where they can use that $250. Maybe they can put it on a contract as a, performance bonus.
Sure.
Something like that.
Sure. Yeah, and again, when you're on that tight of a budget, which it sounds like they will be, that's fantastic. And the fact that we see it in the chat there, and we appreciate you guys reminding us that, the fact that Zeke has had such a good winter has nothing to do with the arbitration process, right? This is based on what he did last year, and his year wasn't that great. And Josh Young's year wasn't that great, so he's got to be grateful that he got the full number, right?
Yeah.
Jake Berger probably got less because it's pretty justifiable based on the year that he had.
Yeah.
And Josh Smith had a great year. It faded a little at the end, as it has, but he had a great year, so he gets more. And again, not a ton more, but when you're I can't even believe I'm saying this sentence. When you're only at $3 million, 225. Did you say you got 3.225?
That's right.
Yeah, 225,000 is more when you're at $3 million than when you're in Corey Seager territory.
Yeah,
Corey
sure.
Seager were like, oh, forget that 225. I don't care.
Yeah.
No,
it's Berger got 300,000 less, so he got 3.2 million. All right.
Okay.
And then Duran has had a nice winter that we were talking about. It's almost over, I believe, is what Ross Fenstermaker said today. But he's batting .338 right now.
Good for him.
Yeah, 2 homers though.
Yeah.
That's always a little bit of a concern. But he's walked a lot, which if you're hitting .338, guys have to kind of respect you a little bit.
Sure.
So you hope that again he can be a good player. The problem with Duran has been that he needs the at bats. He's getting them this winter.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to get them this season? I don't think there's not a real spot for him.
Right. I still advocate him at second and Josh Smith staying in that utility role that he handles so well.
Yeah.
That would be what I would love to see them try. But again, any of these attempts, I think, are on fairly short leashes. Somebody asked yesterday, and we had so much to say with Dave Raymond here, but what kind of leash, let's say, is Jock Peterson on this year? I think a pretty short one, right? I mean, if he has a month and a half where it starts as last year finished, they're going to have to make a decision, whether it's just bench him or, what DFA him, whatever they have to do.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make a decision, right? I think that Ezekiel Duran, if they do what I'm suggesting and put him at second base, well, you got to perform there in a month or a month and a half, or we're going to move Josh Smith there, right? I mean, they're going to have to respond, and sort of, if you will, correct their mistakes on the fly.
Yeah. How long do you give a guy to come out of it?
I know.
It's like, first half, but I can't imagine he. What was it? 0 for 50 or something?
44 for sure.
44,
I remember that.
Whatever it was. That's hard to do. That ain't easy. Usually you can just stick your bat out there and get a cheap infield.
Yeah.
So I think it. But then what then constitutes good? If you're weighing it on last year. 4 for 44 is an improvement, but that's not good enough.
Still not. Yeah, no, still not.
10 for 44 is an improvement. That might buy him some time, but I guess it depends on the impact of those hits.
Sure.
Is it 10 singles and no homers?
Right.
Is he doing damage?
Is he driving runs?
Is he hitting the ball hard?
Productive?
Things like that.
Yeah.
So.
Moving runners.
We got to see on that. And I see some questions about the payroll. Yeah, Sports Track has, Benny just took my thunder. Thanks, buddy. Has him at 191, 53 million under the CBT. And
that's right what Dave said yesterday, too.
I've always maintained 210. I really think that's the sweet spot. But I think anything less than that would be, music to Ray Davis's ears. I was encouraged by what Dave did say about the TV stuff yesterday.
Yeah, I was too. In fact, I meant to probe him a little bit more about that after, and he was kind of in a hurry to get out of here, but I thought that was encouraging. He thought that they did, like they exceeded expectations, and they got, close to the kind of money they used to make. So I continue to maintain they get that thing rolling, they're going to be doing fine financially.
Yeah,
with their own network.
Yeah, but the one thing he did say was, the distributors.
Right.
I don't know that I don't remember actually. I don't want to say something that's wrong, but I know that the lowdown on YouTube. I know a lot of people wanted YouTube TV to pick it up, but YouTube doesn't do regional sports networks. That's just not in their business model.
They hardly do any sports.
Yeah, and so, what was it? Somebody was merging with Fubo.
Yeah, that's right. Hulu and Fubo were supposed to merge.
And I don't think that ever happened. I don't know if the merger did happen. The anticipated pickup of RSN did not happen.
Right.
By one of those, I think. But again, I'm not 100% sure on that one. But that's kind of
okay. So Rarities is saying it's not on Hulu.
So I would think that that's the next.
But I'm pretty sure I let my Fubo go, but I'm pretty sure it's on Fubo.
I would think. Well, whatever. I would think that if they aren't in the fold, that they would be the next targets.
Yes, agreed.
Because those would be huge. Those are big distributors.
Yeah, they really are.
And if that were to happen, then great. But that's more money, more advertisers, more value for the advertisers, things like that. Victory. Not sure how the Victory thing turned out.
Not either.
But I do think there's still opportunity, and this was bandied about. I don't know that if it has any legs, but picking things up like our show.
Right.
Well,
and
Victory
RSN, or Victory
or the RSN, right? And I know a lot of people are like, wow, why don't they show old games? And stuff like that. I don't know that there's a lot of value in it, but nevertheless, I think there are plans to at least expand that.
I would think so. It's always the reason that teams have been reluctant to have their own network is because theoretically you have to program that network for a full day, and that costs money, and it's difficult to do. And you either have to create your content or purchase it from somebody else. Although in this case, you're right, they own the rights to their games, but I don't know. Do they? MLB's funky that way. Maybe they have to pay rights fees to MLB for old games, even though they include the Texas Rangers. But I'm not sure about that. I'm just throwing something against the wall. But I will say this. That's why teams don't do that and haven't done that, and why the Rangers are the only one. What the Rangers proved last year is you don't have to program for the whole day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people still found it. And it was frustrating to me sometimes, because I have it on DirecTV, so I'd flip over there to 677 at, 10 minutes to 7, before the game, and I'd figure the pregame was there. And every once in a while, the pregame just wasn't on there. I think it was just a clerical error. But whoa, what happened? What happened? Are we off DirecTV? But I got all the games. And but it was weird, too. If I'd get there at 5:20 or 6:20, 10 minutes before the pregame, I'd just get a DirecTV slate, and then I got about 6:28. They'd kind of change it around, and then here came the pregame show. So
the Rangers website does have Fubo listed as one of
I thought it did.
One of the cable and satellite distributors, but not Hulu.
Right.
So hopefully there are more. But this is last season's information. They haven't put anything new up for 2026.
2026.
Probably working on it.
Yeah. Yeah, they probably are. And they're probably, to your point, I would guess that there is someone working on Hulu and any of the others that they'd still like to get. I don't think, the guy who put this all together was a consultant for them and a good friend of mine, and a guy who worked with us at Fox, really. He left before Bally. John Heike is his name. And John, I think, did most of the distribution stuff because of his great experience doing that. But I'm pretty sure, but he was a consultant. I'm pretty sure that he's not working for them again this offseason. But now people there have learned, the things that you have to do. And another segment, like, just
holy cow,
burned away. What the heck's happening?
Well,
Kat, explain this to me. We got lots more to talk about. We barely got to any of the subject we were going to address in that one. So let's get to some of those in the next one, as well as the minor league coaching staff. I swear to God, you guys ask about something, and the next day it's done. So from your mouths, or your fingers, I guess, as you type it in the chat, to the Rangers' ears, the minor league coaching staffs have been announced, and we'll talk about those as well next. DLLS Rangers podcast.
Well, we already gave away the
supporters
what our
gonna
supporter
be
club video is. Kat here is working on it, and the less I have to do, the better. So I hope she has fun with this and makes it a habit. But John and I are here. We're willing and ready and able. But what it is, supporters club, it's just our another level of a way to become a diehard sports fan. Call it sicko level stuff. Okay. What it is, behind the scenes videos of how we go about our job, things we've encountered in our careers, not just Rangers, Stars, Mavs, Cowboys. All of our beats do these videos, and they're pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. You also get some emojis when you become a member of the supporters club, which you do by going to our YouTube homepage, clicking the join button, and voila, it takes you through the process. And before you know it, you're a member of the supporters club.
You should be a member or a recipient of our newsletter as well. The headline today in my inbox on the DLLS sports newsletter: AD gets injured. ... Shocker. So there's Ali, throwing a little fun in there. And in the game last night, Cooper Flagg was great, and Anthony Davis was injured. And the Jazz beat the Mavs by 2. They closed on an 11-1 run, so the Mavs could have gotten that game, but they lost it. Stars, as we mentioned, had snapped their 6-game losing streak the other night, so I think they play again tonight, if I'm not mistaken. And, of course, the Cowboys are the Cowboys. They got all kinds of stuff going on, and it's all there. It's all right there in that newsletter, as well as some of the fun little tidbits that Ali adds, like this one. One last thing, it's a Luka Doncic, Trae Young picture when Luka was still with the Mavs. Of course, now there's talk that maybe, just maybe, Trae Young's going to be traded here. How things come full circle.
He just got traded to the Wizards.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Well, maybe he's going to get traded here.
Yeah, he was possibly going to happen. No, I think it was going to happen from Atlanta. That's too bad. Okay, well, there you go. Ali's on it. So's our newsletter. Just go sign up for that, would you please? Okay, let's get back to this baseball show because, man, we've got some more things to talk about. Quick update on the Winter Carnival, and we've got the posting from the folks in Frisco. And you see who will be there and the date and the time and the price. There is a $25 fee for Q&A passes. So, or is that general admission? Is that a Q or a G?
It's a G.
It's a G, general admission. Okay. So, and you see there's some pretty cool names that are going to be there. So we continue to get more clarity on what this Winter Carnival looks like. And it seems like, Jeff, that it's just slightly of a more condensed process rather than stretching out through the whole month of January and sort of encompassing the whole state.
Yeah, I haven't, illnesses kind of taken a bite out of my
had you down,
my desire to investigate. I don't know why. I don't know. Kroger remains the sponsor, and it just maybe there are less players available, less people available to do a 3-week tour of the state. Maybe they didn't get a lot out of it, find any value. Maybe it's saving them some money.
Sure.
I mean, that's possible. There's no banquet this year, no midwinter banquet. On
there's not the Friday night banquet?
Wow. So the player awards will be presented during Fan Fest. So it's a little bit different of an off season for the Rangers, and haven't really inquired as to why, but there probably needs to be some inquiry.
Yeah, we'll probably get into that at some point here and figure that out. So yeah, that is general admission. So anyway, that's all coming up, and it's a big 4, 5, 6 day period. I guess the 19th of January,
which is Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah, and that's through the 25th, which is that Sunday, I think.
Yes.
So anyway, that's when you can kind of catch up with the Rangers players. The only place in this case that you'll be able to get the autographs will be at FanFest, but pretty much everybody will be available there.
Yeah, that's generally the way it works, and that list will probably come out that week.
Yep.
They don't want to, nail down commitments, and always subject to change, though.
Yep, sure is. So, but again, I mean, I know, and there's going to be long lines for each of them, but Corey Seager always signs, right? I mean, Marcus Semien over the years has signed. All the big names. Jacob deGrom will be up there. Nathan Eovaldi will be up there. So that's all coming on the 24th. That's Saturday, basically from 9 to 4. And that's all at the ballpark. It's a pretty cool place to have it. They've had it a lot of places over the years, but I love having it. I mean, Globe Life Field doesn't matter what the weather is, doesn't matter anything. You're in there, and it's huge. So everybody can spread out, and there's a lot of people. I remember when it was at the Arlington Convention Center.
Oh man,
you just felt like you were on top of people.
That was amazing.
Right? Yeah, it really was. So anyway, that's coming up. The question that was asked yesterday in the chat: what about the Rangers minor league coaches? That staff, those staffs, have been announced, Jeff, and there's new managers basically at all 4 of the full season levels.
That's correct. That doesn't mean that they're new to the organization.
Yeah.
One of them is new. The AAA manager is new. Excuse me, I'm fighting off a cough here. Kyle Moore is the new Round Rock manager. He was the bench coach at AAA Iowa last year, the Cubs affiliate, and he had previously been a manager at 3 or 4 levels in the Orioles organization. So the Rangers are excited about him. They like his personality. He's a young guy. He's 39. So he's coming in. And Chad Comer is moving up to Frisco from Hub City. Carlos Maldonado to Hub City from Hickory. And then Nick Jansen is coming from the Complex League to Hickory. Excuse me while I cough.
Yeah, no worries. So you go over there and hawk up a lung, and we'll say that these, each and every one of these guys is sort of a teacher first, right? I mean, I shouldn't say that. They're a baseball player first as a kid, but they all have that ability, and it's not everybody. It's not everybody that has that. Travis Jankowski is a guy that everybody identified as someone who could really teach the game. He did it as a player. We've said it many times about Nathan Eovaldi. Now, Nathan has made so much money, he may not want to, dive into this when he gets done playing. But there are guys you can tell as players, Jeff. And these guys were that, even if they didn't make it to the big league level, wherever they reached, most of these guys were that guy who liked sharing their knowledge and basically like teaching.
Yeah, and they have knowledge.
Yeah, it's hard to talk when you're
their knowledge surpasses their talent at some point.
That's exactly right.
And and they have a lot to share, and they can pick it up not necessarily even in the major leagues. There's some college experience, some private coaching experience, things like that. But like Kenny Holmberg, he's been a fixture.
Yeah.
In the organization for a long, long time. He's back as the field coordinator. He basically, works hand in hand with the farm director, Josh Bonifay, in, setting the rosters and making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. He also coaches infielders and does a great job. John Goebel was the AA pitching coach in 24. He was at AAA last year. Now he's going to be the full-time minor league pitching coordinator. So, it's a guy who's worked with a lot of the guys who could be in the majors this year. And these names, there's not a ton of turnover on the names.
Right.
Just kind of the levels that they're ascending to, and or becoming coordinators or full-time or part-time coordinators. So it's always interesting, though, to see who's going to be in charge and where they're going to be. Nick Jansen, who I don't know a ton about, who's going to be at Hickory, he's been in the playoffs his 2 years as a manager in the system. He was a manager in the Dominican and then last year in the ACL. I mean, this guy apparently gets good feedback and knows what he's doing, and Carlos Maldonado, he's just been around for a long time. The fact that he speaks Spanish, you find him generally with a roster that is filled with Spanish-speaking players, and I think the Hub City roster will be that way this year, and as Hickory was last year. So there's method behind the madness too. And Chad Comer, his family had actually moved to South Carolina. They had lived in Mansfield. I believe his wife is from this area, so there's a familiarity there. And he'd coached at Frisco previously a few seasons ago before he stepped into the managerial role. So it's good to see familiar faces and a chance to get to know these guys a little bit better, especially the ones that are here.
Yeah, it's awesome because these are the guys that sort of shape the future, right? And then not only for the players that make it to the big leagues, but all you need to look at is no further than Jordan Teagues, right? Who cut his teeth, climbing his way as a coach through the minor leagues, and then he brings to the major leagues the experience that he got for 1 year with Mike Maddox, the maestro of pitching coaches in the world, and at least in the world today. And then he's got the relationships with the players who he had through the minor leagues and guys who he spent so much time with, specifically Jack Leiter, right? But Kamar Rocker over the years, and all these guys, Jacob Latz. I mean, all these guys have had a heavy dose and have a great relationship with Jordan Teague. So that's what's happening with these guys who are ascending their way through the organization. And not all of them really ever get to the big league level. I mean, I think like a Bobby Jones, for example, got up to the big league level for a little bit of time, but most of the time he was the AAA manager, right?
Yeah.
And he thrived in that role. He loved it.
Right.
And I loved it because he was one of the more creative guys ever at letting a player know they were getting called up.
Yes.
He would mess with them, man.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. But, he's one example of guys who just, who find a role in an organization. Bobby was around forever.
Yeah, and, he very colorful language that he used. But he also would just mess with the players. And,
yes.
And Ian Kinsler tells a story. Kinsler was, I think it was a AA, maybe might have been AAA, but was struggling in a slump and was off that day, and they were getting drilled. And Bobby said, Kinsler, can you go up there and pinch hit? And Ian was like, yeah, I can do it. And he goes, good. I want to get this game over. Go up there and go up there and make an out and get this thing over. Yeah. Yeah. Just things like that. And, they're just guys that's their calling, know? I mean, Keith Comstock, who's the Rangers rehab coordinator,
the strength guy.
He pitched in the majors. He, very infamously had the yips and kind of dealt with a lot of stuff in his career. Well, he's in his 70s now. He goes out there every day with these kids that are hurt, and probably the last place they want to be is in Surprise, Arizona, especially in the middle of the summer.
Right.
And he works with them, and he understands what they're going through, and he makes them better. And that's his calling. He he doesn't want to do anymore. He doesn't aspire to be a major league pitching coach.
No.
That's just what he likes.
Yep. He likes to, and he's really good at it. And it's one of the reasons the Rangers feel so confident when they get a guy who's had Tommy John surgery or who is even in the process of recovering from Tommy John surgery, because one of the things that Keith does so well is help those guys not only recover, but in many cases, they're better, they're stronger after the surgery. Their velo will be up a tick, and they're actually a better pitcher with that fresh ligament, that monkey ligament, or whatever the heck they put in there. So that's the assistant coaches. So just anytime you guys have a question, just put it in there, and we'll make sure it happens by the next day. That's what happened with the Winter Carnival. That's what happened with the minor league coaches. I'm sure there will be more of those along the way. Next up, it's our cleanup segment as we will get through a few things that are happening around this world of Major League Baseball on a Friday. Next, it's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And I'm going to do both of these ad reads to give Jeff's voice a break here while we we'd much rather have you for the segment than the breaks. And look, because I'm passionate about both. The Die Hard thing is a no-brainer. It's cheaper than you think. I'm not even sure what the heck the price is right now. I know it's cheap. So go there and become a Die Hard, because there's so much bang for the buck. You'll get everything that Jeff writes. And, as he said, there hasn't been a lot to write lately because the Rangers haven't done anything. Somebody's in usually in our chat telling us how many days it's been. It's got to be 19 or 20 now since the Rangers, technically, I guess signing their arbitration-eligible players takes that back to 0. But, that was something that was going to happen. Oh, did they?
Chris Matt and then Patrick Murphy, who should have made the team out of spring training.
Yeah, he was a spring training last year, too. So, anyway, all this stuff is written about by Jeff, and then Cowboy stuff is written about by Ali and Clarence. And then we've got Sam on the Stars and Ron on the Mavericks. So anyway, great content available to you at a cheap price, and you'll get 20% off of our events, and you'll get 20% off of our merchandise. Or you don't even have to pay for our merchandise if you become a diehard. You get a hat at a discounted rate or a free shirt. And I'd encourage you to go to store.allcitynetwork.com to check out the wealth of options that are available there. The skipper on the other day for Jeff was saying that the new Sports Over Everything shirts are either out there or about to be out there, so keep an eye for those. I think you'll be seeing us wear those fairly soon. And anyway, that's an easy thing to do. Go get them at store.allcitynetwork.com. That's where you find the DLLS merchandise. And Rarity's asking, as we get started with this cleanup segment, do we see any breaking news or an emergency pod happening this weekend? I don't. Jeff, do you?
I don't.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Based on what you heard from CY and everything today. But they're being opportunistic. So, if Zach Gallen calls them and just says, you know what, I'd like to sign a 2-year contract for $5 million. I bet they'd do that. You think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he'll make that call. But, if something like that happens, if something happens, CY was just playing the cards close to the vest today and he's really close to getting, because they have to do that. Some of that stuff we get frustrated at. Mm-hmm. Some of it has to be done, right? They can't reveal too much. So, there could be something, but probably not.
And usually, after the fact, like there might be, like at the winter meetings, this happens a lot. He'll say something and then, within 24 to 48 hours, hey, they signed some people.
Yeah.
And you can go back and remember what he said and pick up, okay, that's what he meant.
I should have known. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't get that today.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah. All right. For what it's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was Cordua earlier in the chat gave me props for the prediction on the FanDuel thing, Main Street Sports and FanDuel. all 9 major league teams have terminated their contracts. And I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but it's, it's the Tigers, it's the Angels, it's I think the Florida Marlins. I mean, there's 9 of them that still had St. Louis, the Cardinals. 9 of them still had contracts with FanDuel, and they realized FanDuel is on such thin ice. We're going to exercise this opportunity. Now, that doesn't mean for sure that they won't be on FanDuel. My guess is they won't be on FanDuel because FanDuel's not making any comments. And I know who runs FanDuel. It's the same people that ran Bally. And I know when they think they'll be okay, they say it. Like, oh no, it's okay. We got this. We're gonna work out a deal. They ain't saying nothing. So my guess is they don't have anything, and they're still hoping that DAZN or DAZN, whatever Skipper told me the name of this British company that was maybe going to buy them. I'm sure they're still hoping that deal goes through, but actually it won't if one more team of those that they have says they're no longer associated. So they have 29 teams, counting these 9 baseball teams. FanDuel does. And if 10 of them leave, DAZN has said, we're out.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, but right now, none of the others, I don't think any of the others are going to leave because they're NHL. I think they have 7 NHL teams and 13 NBA teams. Amazingly, one of the NBA teams that they still have is the Thunder, the champions.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And they do a great job. Friends of mine all at the Thunder broadcast. I was a part of it for like the first 15 years of the organization. And anyway, they do a really good job. But is anybody seeing them? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
And are they getting their payments? I mean, I guess if you're Main Street or FanDuel, you're gonna pay the champs, right? One team you don't want to lose. But they did not make. Well, I say that. I think the reporting was they didn't make their January payment, to any of their 13 NBA teams. It's just unbelievable. This bug is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's killing me. Yeah,
driving me freaking crazy.
I just and it's like it's not that long ago they came out of bankruptcy and
we're
had
good.
FanDuel,
We're
and everybody
strong.
was like, "Oh,
we
this
got
is awesome."
FanDuel. Yeah, I know.
It's the same pattern. It's the same missing payments.
Yeah, they're just not smart businessmen. But I say that. I'll promise you, the 10 people at the top. And I remember this when we're going. We've declared bankruptcy. Oh, we hired a new CFO. Oh, we hired a new director of legal. She came to us from NBC. Like we're hiring all these people who I know were making big money.
Yeah.
And who I know had big time protection if their job went away. Right. And so all those people at the top, the CFOs and the CEOs and all, promise you there's some sort of golden parachute built in there.
100%. Yeah.
Right. And yet here the teams are wondering if their games if they're going to get paid or if their games are going to be broadcast. So I don't think that FanDuel will be a thing for Major League Baseball at all this year. And I think it will just go away after the NBA and NHL seasons this year.
Well, I think the teams can renegotiate. But,
that's right.
But they would be negotiating for less.
Right.
So, if Rob Manfred, and he wants everybody.
He does.
He wants all 30 teams.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to necessarily pay them a ton.
Right.
He can lowball them. He can say, what's the offer from FanDuel? Oh, it's $40 million. Oh, I'll give you 42.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well,
yeah. We got to take it.
Yeah.
We got to take every million that we can get. So yeah, that happened. Speaking of Manfred, and I see Benny in there. Yeah. He talked about a free agent signing deadline as a possibility, and players have already weighed in. I think the MLBPA has already come out and said that is like the worst thing you can possibly say to players. And it sounds to me like what Manfred is doing is throwing a lot of things out there. He's also considering an in-season tournament and splitting the year. It seems to me like what he's throwing out there, Jeff, is a bunch of things that they can negotiate off the table,
Yeah.
right? It's like, let's throw all these ideas out there, and then we'll say, oh, you win, players. We're not going to have, a free agent signing deadline. Oh, you win, players. We're not going to have, this in-season tournament. But we are going to have a salary cap. Okay, see you later.
Right.
Again, it's not quite that simplistic, but I feels like that's what he's doing. He's trying to throw things out there that he knows aren't going to happen.
Yeah, and he'll do this every once in a while. He'll just throw out these ideas. And I do love that dang pitch clock though.
Oh yeah. No, and so, I don't like the only one of the changes I don't like is the silly ghost runner thing, in extra innings. I mean, as much as I appreciated it that I didn't have to do 15 and 16 inning game post-game shows, right? Because they almost never last that long anymore. But it's just silly. It's just plain silly. I don't even know how to account for it in my scorebook, really. So that is what it is. But I think a lot of those changes that he's made, and again, he's made all of those with the blessing of, the Players Association. Let's see how this ABS challenge system works. That's the next one that we know is coming into place that will cause some major changes. So anyway, that's some of the stuff that Rob Manfred is doing. Apparently he appeared on WFAN yesterday and maybe somewhere else too, making all these bold claims. Thad Levine, our buddy Thad, has gotten a job.
Good.
Not the one he wanted.
No, but that's all right.
Yeah, but he's going to be a part of the Brewers organization, and he will be a special assistant. So taking a page from his former boss and his good friend John Daniels, like there is, the special assistant job is a pretty damn good job, as
Sure.
JD will tell us.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to be there. You don't have to move full time. You can live wherever you want. You got to take a couple conference calls a week and maybe drop in every once in a while. But it keeps your name in the game.
Yep.
And Thad's going to get a job here soon. I really think that.
Yeah, he really would like to get one, but he would like to make sure he gets the one, right? The one he wants, not just that sort of that worst job that's available. At this point, JD hasn't expressed interest in taking another full-time job, which is why you never hear his name when these general manager openings become available. But Thad would like to have one. I know this. Either he told us when we had him on, or maybe JD told me. Thad's wife didn't like living in the South, and so the fact that they will likely stay in Minnesota now, and he'll work, make the trip from there to Milwaukee, probably like JD does from here to Tampa. I think will be positive for the family. She just doesn't like the heat so much. So, it's why Denver was going to be a pretty good option.
Good spot.
Yeah, it was going to be a pretty good option, but they went back to the future and got the Moneyball guy, or one of them. Diamondbacks have said they're not going to trade Ketel Marte.
Okay.
Posturing, or do you believe it? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
They didn't get their off. They didn't, of course, if you're going to trade Marte, you want the sun, the moon, and the stars.
Heck of a player.
And nobody's going to offer that. And, yeah. And he's got, I think there's a little bit of a questionable character there. So that makes it a little harder.
That came up last year.
Yeah.
But that's a heck of a player. And but yeah, I still, they're still a third place team at best.
Right.
In that division, with them or without them.
Right. That's the thing. I mean, that's the frustrating, because they might be fourth. I mean, Giants, who knows, with a college manager, I don't know, but the Giants could be third place. Obviously, it's the Dodgers, Padres, and then you got, the Giants and the Diamondbacks, and then there's the Rockies. They'll be what they'll be, Jeff.
That's right. And they got Michael Lorenzen, though, by God, those Rockies.
That's amazing.
So
that is amazing. So anyway, fun week. Not for Jeff. He was down flat on his back one day, and couldn't quite make it here. So we're glad he's feeling better. We're always glad to have you guys in the chat. We appreciate you. As was implied, in case you don't know this, but if anything happens, we will be on with it from wherever we are. If there's any sort of news that breaks this weekend regarding the Texas Rangers, and if not, I imagine that we're probably going to have another guest next week at some point. And I promise this, we're going to have another fun week of programming. Next week, we'll be here every day, Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock next week with the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.